Alright, in this video I'm going to explain a few things I learned about fertilizer and lawn care in the last few years. Timestamps in the description below if you want to jump to a certain part. Let's start with analyzing how well fertilizing just before winter worked out. Now, I know they make fertilizers especially designed to get your grass ready for winter, but I just used the rest of the Scott's weed and feed that I had left over from summer. That's an NPK ratio of 28:03, if you're wondering, so heavier on the nitrogen. I didn't do my entire backyard because the area at the very back that leads up to the ditch is technically a common area that I don't own. It's usually cut and taken care of by our community lawn service. What's more, my HOA said they will be bringing in machines to dig out the ditch behind my house this summer, and that they will likely tear up much of the grass in the common area doing it. So I figured, why bother fertilizing something that's going to get torn up? Anyway, here you can see the difference between where I used the fertilizer last year and where I didn't, that common area. Naturally, the area that was fertilized is growing back quicker and fuller. Again, it wasn't that special blend, it was just the weed and feed. But I also wanted to point out the difference between my grass and my neighbor's. Yes, I'm aware that theirs looks a little greener, but that's mostly because I need to run a thatcher through my lawn and have it aerated. Something I'll hopefully get to later in the season. Anyway, each of my neighbors used a different lawn service, and I used one too, before I started doing it myself. Here's a cost breakdown the lawn service sent me in 2022. For 6 applications of fertilizer/weed control, the total came out to $333.84. And that's after a prepay discount of 5%. They broke it down to $52.25 per application. Now, when I had this company doing everything for me, it was convenient. They did a good job, there were no weeds, and the grass was green. Great. But the over $300 price tag irked me. Then I saw another neighbor's lawn who was just using a broadcast spreader and some Scotts. I thought his lawn looked just as good, if not better, than mine and the other neighbors who use lawn services. So I went online and checked the price for a bag of fertilizer. To cover my just under 5,000 square foot lawn, one bag of Scott's weed and feed costs about $30. I got a broadcast spreader for about $45 as well. The spreader is obviously an investment that will pay for itself over the years, so I'm trying not to figure that into my overall cost too much. Last year, I used about 3 bags of fertilizer. So my total cost for this season was about $90. That's about $243 less than with the lawn care company. And the results? Well, the weeds did start to come back at the peak of the summer, just before I hit it with another application. They weren't too bad though. I was fine with plucking a few sprouts here and there, but ideally there will be fewer in years to come. I guess the moral of the story is to either spot check the weeds or apply fertilizer at least 4 times a season instead of 3. This year, I did even more research. There's a lot of testimony for just using nitrogen to fertilize your lawn. Scott's weed and feed is mostly nitrogen with a ratio of 28:03. So my goal this year is to do a round of Scott's weed and feed at the start of the year because it has that pre-emergent for weeds. Then I'm going to switch to a cheap bag of nitrogen heavy fertilizer from Walmart. Scott's worked really well, but I'm wondering if I can't get the same results with a slightly cheaper brand. I'm thinking to buy a big bag of this one. It has a 30:04 ratio, so a little heavier on the nitrogen than the Scott's weed and feed. It should last for 2 applications given the size of my lawn. One bag only costs $30, so that's $15 per application. And that's my plan. Cheaper, nitrogen-based fertilizer applied by myself. Depending on the weather, I'm hoping to save a few more bucks this year than I did last year. but I'll test it out and post again with the results.